De La Soul and God. I'm going to try and connect these two. They connected in my mind, but hopefully it means something. It means something to you also. I was sitting and spending some alone time this morning, and one of the songs that kept hitting me was the song Ego Trip. And if you haven't listened to it, it's a classic by De La Soul. It's off Balloon Mind State. It's actually my favorite album that they've ever done. I think one of the least appreciated groups of all time. Also, even with all the accolades that they get, I believe that they're the Rolling Stones of hip hop, and they changed the game. And they not only changed the hip hop game, but changed the game for me, because in 1989, when I listened to 3 Feet High and Rising, my mind was blown because these guys were completely themselves. They weren't driven by what was popular at the time. And for me, it freed me, because we didn't have the means to be able to get the things that were popular. So, for a kid who didn't have all the same things as everybody else, it really gave me a voice. And when I was listening to that song this morning, I was thinking about that song, Ego Trip. I was like, man, this is going to be so profound. I'm spending time with God, and I'm really going to break down the lyrics. And then I looked at the lyrics, and I really couldn't find anything in the lyrics that resonated with me, but the overarching message of the whole entire song, Ego Trip, that's what resonated with me. Because there were so many people throughout my life, and I don't know why I had this challenge, but there were so many times where I saw people fronting, trying to be something that they weren't. And De La Soul, in this song, Ego Trippin', was just talking about just being yourself, being okay, being content exactly where you were, having joy in life, which was falling in love with, your current circumstances and allowing magic to happen. And what I noticed is that this song really, really grabbed me. And, it helped me to realize that throughout my life, I need to keep my ego in check. And then as I ran down and I was spending time with God, he was like, well, insecurity, whenever it shows up to the party, then it brings its friend ego, and ego is always inviting pride. And then pride always causes things to fall. So that's not a party that you want to be at when those three are there. When insecurity, ego, and pride are there, that's not a party you want to be at. And in Proverbs 27, it shows us step by step how to keep our ego in check. So how does De La Soul and God connect? Well, stick with me for the next little bit and you'll find out. So let's get this party started.
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
I believe that God can inspire you through anything. And this morning I was inspired by De La Soul. And again, I thought that I had this thought where, I listened to Ego Trippin'. And if you haven't listened to Balloon Mind State, I want you to stop this right now. And I want you to download or go to Apple or Spotify or to your Pandora. And I want you to get the Balloon Mind State download. I'm saying album. I guess you would say album today, maybe CD, download, whatever it is. But listen to it in its entirety. It is just, for me, it was incredible. The first single on that was Break of Dawn. And I remember there was a hiatus. So there was 3 Feet High and Rising. And that was, it blew up. It was huge. And then De La Soul is Dead. And that one, people, it was tough it was a sophomore album. I still loved it. It was one of my favorites also. But it didn't get as much critical acclaim. And there was there was a distance in between De La Soul is Dead and Balloon Mind State. And when Balloon Mind State hit, the first single was Break of Dawn. And it is, oh gosh, it blew my mind. But Ego Trippin is on that one, and what I would suggest is just listen to not only that song, but listen to the whole album in its entirety. And it really inspired me. And like I said, I was looking at the lyrics, and I looked them up this morning. I was sitting at the beach, spending alone time with God, and um, I thought that the lyrics were going to be so profound. And the lyrics are always good. Dave was a phenomenal lyricist. I believe one of the best. Pastanews, unbelievable lyricist. With wordplay, everything like that. DJ Maceo with the beats, the Prince Paul with the production, all those things. But I really thought that I was going to be it was going to be profound, the lyrics. But it wasn't so much the lyrics of Ego Trippin'. It was the overarching message of it, that they were joking about all of the things that were happening. And this was 93, I think, that Balloon Minds Day came out. And there was a lot of ego in hip hop. And there has been all the time, a lot of bravado, everything like that. And they were just basically calling out everybody that was doing those things. And they almost kind of made fun of it, but in a lighthearted way. And it was incredible. And then as I looked at it, what God opened up to me, and I shared it with you just a second ago, is that generally insecurity always invites its friend ego to the party. And, ego always travels with pride. And so when you have insecurity, ego, and pride, pride comes before the fall. So just be conscious of this, because that's not a party that you want to be at all, because generally everything goes sideways once pride comes in. But if you can track it back, your pride was caused by your ego was caused by your insecurity, and your insecurity is caused from the lack of wisdom and lack of truth and lack of love and grace inside of your heart. So if we fill up our heart with love and grace and peace and wisdom, then insecurity won't be there, because we'll just be ourselves and not try and be somebody else. And in Proverbs 27, it literally, like when I looked at this, it showed us step by step how to keep our ego in check. Now, ego isn't always going to be a bad thing. Sometimes you need to have a little bit. You need to have that little bravado. I watched my son last night. I watched him on the phone. How great is technology? So he was playing FNL, but my daughter was doing her performance, Cobb, which is Carlsbad on Broadway. And so she was performing. By the way, she did the best she's ever done. I mean, it was unbelievable. She did a duet with Anna and Frozen, the Anna and I don't know the other character, Elsa. Her friend was Elsa, she was Anna, and I mean, my daughter projected. It was unreal. Like, it was such a cool moment. But I got to go see that. We call it Divide and Conquer. So I was watching my daughter perform, and here's my son playing FNL, but I didn't get to his game. But I FaceTimed my wife right as I walked out of the play or the performance, and she FaceTimed and turned on, let me watch my son. And in the fourth quarter, they were down, and he comes in at quarterback, pump fakes, and has this dude do a stop and go, hits a touchdown. The crowd goes wild. They go up by 1. The other team scores, and they go up, and then my son leads them down again, and their team scores, and they win the game. And it was incredible, because when my son walked in the house, I was like high-fiving him, everything like that. And I could see he had, that pride in him, in a good way. He had a little ego, yo, give me the ball. I can help us. And my daughter had that same thing, where I told her, you did so great last night. And she said, I keep telling him, just give me a shot. Now, there's an example of a positive ego, right? A positive part of it. It doesn't stem from insecurity, but most of the time our ego will stem from insecurity. It starts off with insecurity, then it builds ego, then it builds pride. And when that pride is in that negative light, I guarantee you the pride comes before the fall. So just be conscious of it. Those 3 characters I've battled with in my life, and it's, insecurity is generally really good friends with ego, and ego always invites pride to the party, and then things go sideways. But what I found is most of the time I was told in my life that, check your ego, beware of your ego, all this stuff. But no one ever told me what the ego actually was and how to be able to keep it in check and to be able to run it down and to be able to see like, okay, imagine if you had a checklist and you had that checklist and you were able to go down the checklist and look at it and say, okay, well, is this in line? Is this in line? Is this in line? Okay, cool. I'm safe. But when people told me to check my ego, I didn't have that. And so what I want to invite you to do today is read Proverbs 27. It is an absolute masterclass in keeping your ego in check, an absolute masterclass. But what I want you to do today too is to read it. And then I just want you to just pick out one verse, just one verse. Don't try and fathom everything. Just pick out one and then ask yourself, like, why did that touch my heart? Right? I had to ask myself this when I was listening to with the De La Soul song "Ego Trippin." Why did that hit my heart? Because I always thirsted for things that were real, as opposed to people trying to fake what they or project what they thought everyone else should. I always wanted it to be real because I don't know. That was just a big thing in my heart growing up. So with this. With the ego part of it is just, we're going to go down through the checklist. So I want you to ask yourself, number one, what verse hit your heart? Number two, what specific place in your life did it make you think about? De La Soul hit my heart. What did it make me think about? It made me think about it when I was a little kid and we couldn't get the things that other people had. And I couldn't have the style that everyone else had because we couldn't afford it, not because I didn't want it. And it helped me to realize that just being yourself was great. What action can I add to that today is anytime that I feel ego starting to step in, ask myself, where's the insecurity? Where's the insecurity coming from? And then just beware and say like, maybe I got to be cautious of it because I don't want that pride to come in and create some sort of fall, right? And so just, again, one verse, just look at one verse, one actionable item today. That's what I would invite you to do. Well, let's go through this because that's why we're here is Proverbs 27. It's a masterclass in ego. And so in the first one, in verse 1, it talks about stay present, humble, and grateful. If you'll stay present, you'll sit in and you stay humble, meaning that you know that you're not the one that is always going to have all the answers, that God has the answers and he's going to give them to you. When you spend time with him, he's going to give you wisdom. It keeps us humble. But keeping us humble is when we stay present. When we stay present in that particular moment. A guy asked me the other day, Rob Castro asked me, have you ever felt like this is it? This is the big thing that's going to happen. And I told him, I said, it hasn't happened yet. And this could be a negative part or a positive part, but most of the time I'm not focused on like, yay, I did that thing. I'm just on to the next. Now that can be a positive and it can be a negative in those places, but take a breath today, calm down and stay present, stay humble, and then stay grateful. Stay grateful for all the amazing things. I wrote them out this morning and I listed off. I said, I have a family that loves me. My kids love me. I love my kids. I love my wife. She's beautiful and she supports me and she's amazing. I have phenomenal friends. I absolutely love what I do. And then I listed off a couple of things that I don't have. And they paled in comparison to the things that I do. And that just keep you grateful. In verse 2, let someone else sing your praises. It is far more powerful. And third-party validation is what we're all looking for, right? And so I had this happen on LinkedIn. I posted about the Vibe Room, which is a live version of the podcast, and there's only 60 people that can come, and the tickets are already selling crazy, and it's going to sell out like every other event that we've done for the last 2.5 years. But I had a woman that reposted it, and she reposted it with her thoughts, and that's so much more valuable than me talking about it. And through all advertisement, through all marketing, we're all trying to get to the holy grail, which is third-party validation, where a person that doesn't have a dog in the fight is willing to give you a personal recommendation. We used to, one of my friends, his name is Tim Story. He said that it was Oprah dust. When he was on Oprah, he's been on Oprah a couple of times. He's one of Oprah's favorites, Super Soul Sunday. And Tim Story told me, he said his life changed when Oprah said, I think that you should go and buy his book. It was third-party validation. And what God is telling us in 3,000 years ago in verse 2 of Proverbs 27 is let someone else sing your praises. It's so much more powerful when someone else does. Stop beating your chest, do the work, and let somebody else sing the praise. In verse 3, fill up with truth and you will have no room for nonsense. The more and more you fill your heart up with truth, with wisdom, with love, with joy, with peace, the less room you have inside your heart for all the nonsense of this world. And that is something that I would encourage you to do as much as possible, and that'll keep your ego in check. In verse 4 and 20, comparison won't serve you. Walk in your greatness. My pops would always say this, boy, you're the greatest, so act accordingly. And sometimes we hear we're the greatest, it'll pump up our ego, but then we don't listen to the second part of what my pops was saying, so act according to that greatness. Imagine if number one, we understood how great we were at what we were designed to be, and then we walked in that greatness every single day and held ourselves accountable to it, and we walked according to it. I tell you, our world would change. Our world would be different in that aspect. In verse 5 and 6, good friends make you better. Not friends make you better, good friends make you better. How do we know that it's a good friend? Because they want the greatest thing for you. My buddy Will, I tell you, when I say I cannot tell you, I am going to tell you how much I love this man. Him and I have been friends since fourth grade. He has been there with me through every single thing. There's not a day goes by that he doesn't encourage me in some way. He's been with me with the podcast, with all this stuff, like all changes in careers, all those things. And he's always been by me and he's always loved me for me, but also he has encouraged me specifically about the things that he sees. Good friends make you better. Will, you make me better. And I want to tell you how much I absolutely love you. And honestly, think about it. In fourth grade, I was 9 years old. I'm 50 years old now. That's 41 years of friendship. Those things can't be replaced. Invest in your relationships. Start doing it now. If you don't have 41-year friends, then start now. It's the greatest thing in the world. Good friends make you better. In verse 7, wisdom creates an appetite for wisdom. Wisdom is the right use of knowledge. The beginning of all wisdom is the fear of God or the respect of God. The only way you could respect something is if you spend time with it, see its words and its actions. When they're in line, then you respect it. And then that gives way to wisdom. Wisdom is the right use of knowledge. And so wisdom, when you gain wisdom, you get an appetite for wisdom. It's like when you start eating good. When you start eating better food, you start getting an appetite for better food. When you start eating garbage, you start getting an appetite for garbage. I've gone through these things. But wisdom creates an appetite for wisdom. So seek wisdom at all costs and then guard your heart once it gets inside. In verse 7 through 10, work your land, be content and full of joy, and encourage all of those around you. You see, you can't encourage all of those around you if you're not full of joy. You can't be full of joy if you're not content. And you won't be content if you just don't work your land. If you try and work someone else's land, you won't be content. You'll always be looking for something else. And when you're looking for something else, you won't have joy, which is the art of falling in love with your current circumstances and allowing magic to happen. And when you are not joyous, and you're not in love with your current circumstances, not that they have to be perfect or you have to change the circumstances. I'm just talking about falling in love with them. When you're not, then you won't be able to truly encourage people. People need encouragement. You need encouragement. And I want to encourage you right now that you're exactly where you need to be. God has you exactly in the right place at the exact right time. And if he needed you in another place, he would have you there. And even with the trials, the struggles, the challenges that you go through, the dark times, the valleys, all those things, what God is saying to you is everything is going to be okay. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. So fall in love with what is happening right now, and you'll be able to encourage people around you. And when you encourage people around you, they'll want to be around you, and things will start to grow around you because you encouraged it. But to encourage people, you got to have joy. To have joy, you got to be content. And to be content, you have to just work your land. In verse 11 and 12, wisdom brings joy and calms your heart. A calm heart is needed in times of adversity. So let's go to this. If you have times of adversity, you need to have a calm heart, but wisdom will calm your heart. So seek wisdom at all costs. Fill your heart up with wisdom. You'll have no room for the nonsense. And when your heart is full with wisdom and it starts to overflow, that wisdom will come out your mouth. And when that wisdom comes out your mouth, you'll say the right thing at the right time for the right reason, and then right things will start to happen. Fill your heart with wisdom. It'll bring joy and it'll calm your heart. Because a calm heart is needed where you're going, because where you're going is going to be through the fire at times, through the valley at times, through the dark times, and you'll need a calm heart during that. And it'll all start with wisdom. In verse 13 through 16, stay out of debt, read the room, and invest in relationships. Stay out of debt personally, professionally, spiritually, and financially. Read the room, understand and know. It talked about in this that if you praise someone too early in the morning, they'll take it as a curse. I've been in these times where I've tried to motivate someone or trying to inspire somebody when all they needed was a hug. I find this with my 16-year-old daughter a lot of times. I try and give her the answers, and she's like, yeah, whatever. You didn't listen to me. And then she moves on. Read the room and invest in relationships. If you have the opportunity to have a will in your life, a will for me is a 41-year friendship that is through the thick and thin and even thinner and even thinner. But there's always encouragement, and he always makes me better. In verse 17, good friends bring great returns. Invest in good friends and be one. In verse 18, whatever you treasure will feed you its fruit, so choose wisely. What do you treasure? What's the most important thing? Take it to business. What's the most important thing in your business? What do you treasure? That will feed you its fruit. So just choose wisely what you treasure. In verse 19, in most cases, it's a heart condition. I had someone ask me the other day, he said, how do you fix your mindset? How do you have a strong mind? How do you have the attitude? Because your attitude determines your altitude. One of the only things you can control in life is your attitude, the way that you react to something. And he was asking me these questions. What about your mindset? What about your mindset? What about your mindset? And I said, in most cases, it's a heart condition. You see, most of us try and work on our mind. And the mind is just simply our intentions. It's what we intend to do, but our heart is what we actually believe. And if we take the time and we fill our heart up with things that are of truth and wisdom, then we'll start to believe that wisdom. We'll start to believe that truth. And once that starts to happen, that belief system then will transfer into the intentions when you walk in the room, and those intentions then will turn into your actions. And when you get those in line, it creates an irresistible vibe. Because in most cases, it's a heart condition. In verse 21, you will be tested by the praise you receive. This one blew my mind because most people are like, oh, when you're hard times, they'll show you who you are. But when the good times happen, when you're praised, it will expose what your character is. You'll be tested by the praise that you receive. In verse 22, ego isn't easily remedied, so just be conscious of it. Remember that insecurity is the one who runs with its friend ego, and ego always brings its friend pride. And pride comes before the fall, and that party is not something that you want to be a part of. In verse 23, wisdom creates wealth, but wealth doesn't create wisdom. It's just a priority thing. That's what God talks about. It's just a priority thing. He just says, I want you to seek wisdom. When you seek wisdom, then it will bring wealth. It will bring wealth in every area of your life. But that wealth in every area of your life won't bring wisdom. So which one should we focus on? In verse 25 through 27, as we finish up, hard work creates rewards, so it's wise not to focus on the rewards. Focus on the hard work. See, how can I keep my ego in check? Think of this. If I want to keep my ego in check, I stay present, I stay humble, I stay grateful. I let someone else sing my praises because it's far more powerful. I look for third-party validation. I fill up with truth, and you won't have room for nonsense. I stay away from comparison. I go after good friends and I invest in them. Wisdom creates an appetite for wisdom. I work my land. I'm content. I'm full of joy, and I encourage those around me. Wisdom brings joy and calm to your heart. And a calm heart is needed in times of adversity. Stay out of debt, read the room, invest in relationships. Good friends bring great returns. Whatever you treasure will feed you. So choose wisely. In most cases, it's a heart condition. You will be tested by the praise you receive. Ego is not easily remedied. Wisdom creates wealth, but wealth doesn't create wisdom. And finally, hard work creates rewards, and it is wise not to focus on the rewards. Imagine if we just ran those down or just picked one of those out. Just pick one of those things out. Focus on it today. Just one. Just one. Wisdom creates wealth. Wealth doesn't create wisdom. Just focus on that one. Or ego isn't easily remedied. Or insecurity creates ego and invites pride. And pride comes before the fall. But the cool thing is when we do fall, God has so much grace, and he wants you not only to receive the grace, but give it to yourself and give it to all the people around you. Two things today that are my favorite: the Word of God and De La Soul. How can they come together? Well, De La Soul wrote a song called Ego Trippin, telling you to just get your ego in check. But God came through in Proverbs 27, 3,000 years before, and said, hey, I want to tell you all the ways that you could keep your ego in check. What inspired me today? De La Soul. What gave me the boots on the ground, the tactical tools? Proverbs 27. I think that De La Soul should do a song called Proverbs 27. I think that would be great. But how could God's Word and De La Soul come together? Is because they both deliver the exact same message today. Keep your ego in check. God could speak through anything, and he did today, to encourage you to stop ego tripping. I love that God never brings his word to indict us, but to give us the tools to avoid the inevitable pain that comes with our ego. You see, insecurity creates ego, and ego invites pride, and we all know that pride comes before the fall. So stop ego tripping. Listen to Balloon Mind State today. I invite you to share this with a friend who needs to hear it, and ask yourself this question. Where has your ego not served you in the last week? And then write down one of the verses from Proverbs 27. Write out why it hit your heart. Write out what did it make you think of, specifically a time in your life, and then what action can you add to it today. I hope you have a phenomenal day. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised.